course. I'm so happy to see you. I'm just gonna take my mask off so you can see me. This is our 32nd year running of this course. I'm really happy to have each of you in this course. I hope you all stay. I know there's might have been some issues in terms of IDs and such, so I just want to make sure that you're able to access your ID and get into the building okay. So let me know if you have issues with that, but you should be getting information from Nora regarding your ID. I'll bring up the presentation here, but I'm gonna start first. So this is what we're gonna talk about for this class. So this class today, I have a few introductions. I know that you've met Judge downstairs. He's let you in. So I'm glad that you're all here. And then we also have our graduate assistant, Ian Meissner, and Ian's here to help with IT, but also with so many other things on Google for us. And we've put together the syllabus online. So I'm hoping that all of you have received your emails and your Google Drive and access to Google while you're before class. So the syllabus is online. I also have Erin Golub, our PSU professor, who's going to be joining us to do a presentation or just an introduction to the school. There's a slight change in the presentation tonight. Wendy Sereno will not be able to join us. She's got an emergency. Her daughter is sick, so she has to do an emergency visit tonight. So she won't be able to join us. But every year, I always bring back a student from previous year's class. And so this year, Ada Crandall from last year's class will be here to meet you all, but also to share her the work that she's been doing. She was a graduate of last year, but also one of our high schoolers that was a part of the program. So really excited to be here. I've been teaching this course for 4 years now. This is 32 years running. If you're familiar with this course, it's been ongoing, and it started with our Congressman Earl Blumenauer when he was city council in Portland. It's the emphasis for you to learn more about transportation. This is like a 101 transportation class. So what I want to do, Judge is downstairs, but I really would want to introduce him and also Ian. He's helping with our class. Do you want to say a few things to the students?
Yeah, sure. So hey, I'm Ian, he, him pronouns. I'm a second-year student in the MERC program here at Portland State University. So tons of exposure to a bunch of transportation planning things going on in Portland now. I'll be your go-to contact for any technology issues with making the class work. And I'll also be here as a support for you all as you start coming up with your term-long projects. I'll hold some office hours on Tuesdays if you ever want to send me a message and we can chat about things and run anything by me. But yeah, I'm just happy to be a support for you all.
I will always want to know who's in the room. So if we could do a round of introductions. Let me swing through here. Introductions for each of you. Your name, how do you want to be identified as, where do you live, within which district, why you're interested in taking this course, and what do you want to learn from this course? Also, what's the most interesting thing about you? So we have a good amount of time here. So I'd like for each of you to just go through and to share some things about you. So I can start. Twee with Twee 2 Consulting. I'm teaching the course. I identify as she, her. I live out in East Portland, so I'm up on Powell Butte, so traverse pretty far to get here, about 13 miles out. I grew up here in Portland, in Northeast Portland, most of my life, and over the last 18 years, I've moved out there to the east side and love it. There's some really great projects going on in transportation out there on the east side over the last couple of years, and you'll hear more and see more about it within this project. I'm interested in this course. I actually was a former student of this course back in 2014. I work in transportation. I've been a consultant for, I'm going to date myself, almost 25 years. I've been in this industry where I spanned the gamut of transportation engineering, transportation planning, and urban planning. So I'm going to leave that to as an introduction with myself. And Judd, you came perfect timing because it's your time now to introduce yourself.
Sure. Where should I stand?
Wherever is great. Good for you.
Okay, perfect. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Portland Traffic and Transportation class. My name is Judge Kemp, as Twee just mentioned. I am the PBOT liaison with the class. My role with PBOT, I am the Transportation Demand Management Specialist 1, if you know what that is. Essentially, I work on one of the projects called the Transportation Wallet. I have been at PBOT for about a year, and this course is actually kind of a cool thing for me because it's giving me the opportunity to see and learn a little more about the work that I intersect with. And trying to think of anything more I should add.
What's the most interesting thing about you, Judge?
The most interesting thing about me. That's a long conversation.
You'll get to know him.
I was going to say I'm a man with many, many, many pasts, ranging from television to runway to state government to here. So
It's really an honor to have Judge here, really. He's sort of my sidekick, as I've learned. Thank you, Judge.
thank you.
And next, to introduce us to the university, I have Aaron Golub, one of our professors here, who's been following this class ever since he's been here. But also, I'm really happy to have Aaron here to introduce you to the school and to the program.
Yeah, thanks. So are we standing in front of the Zoom camera or what is, okay? Is this okay or?
Yeah, it's fine.
Welcome online, welcome to the class. Yeah, I'm Aaron Golub. I'm a professor in the School of Urban Studies and Planning. I'm kind of going to help a little bit at the end with the project evaluations, and I might probably watch online a little bit because I teach a class right before this. And so I think it's hard to do two, to follow two all the time. But yeah, welcome to PSU. I know some of you have either gone to PSU or know about PSU, but we've been partnering on this class for over 30 years. Other cities are trying to copy this class. We did like a national study, and in Utah, they're doing it now, Salt Lake and some others. So it's really great that you're able to do it. You're a model for citizen capacity building and engagement, and so it's really cool. If any of you want to become professional urban planners, we do have I would be remiss to not to talk about our Masters in Urban and Regional Planning. And Ian is one of our great students who you'll get to know over the term. And so a lot of the county and city staff that you meet are graduates. But regardless, you're doing the work as a citizen, as engaged citizens, really great. You know, the kind of counterbalance to the professional. The professionals need you in the room to push great projects. They can't just do it themselves. So you're an important part of the puzzle. And some students from this class came into our master's program. Now they're professional planners. So they were advocates, now they're professionals. So they're kind of an interesting model. So welcome to the class. Enjoy. And yeah, email me if you have any questions about our programs. Thanks.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
And I won't
Yes.
stay with you tonight. I have to.
Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, over the last 3 years that I've taught this course, thank you, Aaron, 4 students have applied for Masters in Urban Planning and have gotten in either at PSU or in another university. So yeah, if you want a career path in this, it's something there for you. So I was going to do introductions. So I'm going to just go across the room. This, you know, is live stream or recorded. And so we also have the capacity to do a swivel of the computer to see who's in the room. So let's see what we could do here for that. Because I'm going to turn it back over to you to do the introductions. Okay.
Say hey, everyone.
Say hi to yourself. Okay. This is so interesting. It's like I taught this in person in 2019, then we were on Zoom for 2020 and 2021, and now we're back in person. So we're doing a hybrid. I have like no notes or anything, so I'm always depending on my computer. But here, I'm gonna have you, each of you, share all of these about you. Your name, how would you like to be identified? Where do you live? Why are you interested in taking this class, and what would you want to learn from this class, as much as what is the most interesting thing about you? Whoever wants to start. We can do popcorn style. Okay. Yes.
Hey, good morning. My name's Tim. Sorry, nights. I used to work night shift, so this is my morning. My name's Tim. He, him's fine. I actually live in Hillsboro, which is out of Portland. I'm most interested in taking this class for to learn more about transportation. I just graduated with an urban planning degree from bachelor's from Portland State and wanted to focus more on transportation. So roadway safety, roadway design is kind of what I'd like to take part of this class. And the most interesting thing about me is I can speak French. Ooh la la.
Would you like to go next? Yes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tatiana. She, her. I am a recent transplant from the big city of Corvallis to Northeast Portland, moved right before the pandemic. And so just starting to feel like I'm like actually learning my new community because of the disruption of the pandemic. I work in public health at the Oregon Health Authority and done a lot of work around health and all policies and health in transportation and housing and how when we make improvements in those areas we improve health. And just really just wanting to get to know this community better and like how as a community member I think for me. So I think, oh gosh, that has been so hard. I have a son with autism who relies on public transit for getting around this community. So just really interested in like how do we have access to people with all kinds of access issues. And then a couple years ago, I was hit by a car crossing Killingsworth Street by an impaired driver, and just had that kind of personal lived experience of what being on the other side and what that's like. And so I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you.
My name is Virginia. She is fine. I live in Northeastern Hollywood District. My favorite classes when I was late to graduate from college. I was 60 when I finally made it. And urban studies and planning classes were my absolute favorite. I discovered them and I loved them. And what I'd most like to learn from this class is something going forward. I'm not really sure public transportation. I use it a lot. I like to go watch football games on Saturday and Sunday. I go to Tuesday games. And I take public transportation. I want to know the future of it, basically. What's in store? And what is the most interesting thing about me? I have no idea, other than where I work. I'm the oldest one that works there, I thought. And so I'm usually the oldest one where I go. I'm used to that. It's great.
It's nice to meet you.
I work at Costco at the airport. I work in section. I like the
Well, that's a Costco I go to sometimes.
anytime.
So I'll see you.
Get my 5 to 6 miles a day.
Okay. I think it might be good if we do introductions, can the person stand up, because we're also doing a recording. Sorry, is that okay? You can stand up. I think it'll capture you better.
My name's Joseph. I live in the Lloyd District Northeast. He, him, for my pronouns. I'm interested in taking this class because I want to understand how to motivate PBOT and the city to implement the plans they pass without obstruction from other organizations in the city. What's interesting about me is that I'm a catalyst for change. I'm fearless. I don't take no for an answer, and I go to the top when I need to. Speak Spanish, a little bit of French. I've ridden my bicycle on the highest road in North America, which is Mount Evans in Colorado, west of Denver, 14,000 feet of summit, so I sail and I row, and so I'm all about human powered transportation. I went back to local place, a lot of take transit, and car lights are free in the city for the most part. And, excited to be here. And more about it. It's very active.
Great, nice to have you.
I'm Taylor. I'm from Vancouver. I live in Northeast and Piedmont. I am interested in taking this class. I read for back in Portland, and I have done a lot of self research because I think it's so interested. So I haven't really taken a from this perspective. I also really, one thing that immediately pops out of this is like why everyone else is in the class and like what intrigues people who don't work in transportation to want to do it, because clearly a lot of people want. Most interesting thing about me is that I'm mysterious enough to run. So you'll find out.
Hello, my name is Ina Crandall. I use she, they pronouns. Portland. I took this class last year because I'm a youth climate and transportation justice advocate, and I was sick of being told that I didn't know what I was talking about. So I figured I'd take a class, learn some things. And the most interesting thing about me is I have rallied outside the Oregon Department of Transportation headquarters every other week for over a year, demanding that ODOT stop the proposed expansion of the freeway to my middle school.
You might have read about Ada in the New York Times. She's underselling herself, but she's going to be presenting on a project that she worked on last year. And that's also a good example as a project you would be working on this for this term. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Libby Winter. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a senior project manager at I live in North Portland and also on the North Portland and Motion Committee. I'm interested in taking this class. A bunch of my coworkers and people in my sphere have nothing but wonderful things to say about the experience. And I also want to always be a better advocate for the community in which I live in. So I really like to give advantage of these opportunities. I think most interesting thing about me, my first word was bus.
And you work for a bus agency.
And I totally do. I feel like that got me my job. So yeah.
Good evening, my name is Rob, E.M. And I live in the Pearl District, as it's called. Moved here about a year ago from right. I'm currently still working for the County Planning Department in Long Range, but I don't know a lot about transportation, so I'm trying to integrate that into my knowledge base. But I'll actually be leaving Hawaii from Portland in services in a couple of weeks. Getting more to maybe colleagues of sorts. Why I'm interested in this class is to bolster my understanding of transportation principles. I actually been a student for 20 years with very good transportation. Hawaii, at the time, there was no transportation. Really felt the impacts of it. And of course, we can dream about Portland when we were talking about comprehensive plans. So now I'm here.
Nice to meet you. What island?
The big one.
Oh, the Big Island.
Hi, I'm Andrew. I live in Brooklyn in Southeast by Powell Boulevard. He, him pronouns. I'm interested in this class mostly because I spend all of my free time thinking about transportation. I want to learn it from a more academic standpoint. Most interesting thing about me is I walk like around the city like 50 or 60 miles a week, just checking stuff out. I'm originally from Wisconsin, but let's talk about cheese. I'd love it.
Hi everyone, my name is Stuart Ariyama, and I split my time between Southeast, next to Hawthorne, and then Southwest and Raleigh Hills, just some of the the city boundary. I been interested in transportation and urban mobility for a long time. Did some work in Boston related to bus rapid transit. Something that's interesting about me is I'm part Japanese, and I used to live in Japan. And as a kid, I remember in Japan, it's very, tends to be very walking friendly and very easy to get around. So even as a little kid, I could go down to the grocery store, pick up groceries and walk home. And that's always what I imagine and want for the places I live. Some of the communities I'm part of have that, and some don't. And I would love for it to be more widely accessible.
Thanks in that show.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah. That's helpful. I just heard about that.
My name is Abby. I use she, her pronouns. I live in South East.
That's the spot over there.
But Sunnyside neighborhood. I'm interested in taking this class because I want to learn more about transportation, learn more ways to like get involved in Portland, and also sort of like see what that looks like as a career and what people are doing. I think that's the most interesting thing about me, but I also lived in Japan for a little bit, and like I remember like being 12 and trying to walk places at like my home, just like up in Battleground, my parents' home, and like there just being no sidewalks, and it just being like a horrible experience. Like I couldn't get anywhere. It took me the whole day to like take the bus to the mall, and then going to Japan and like I could just had so much independence, and so I think I really like hold that with me and thinking about like I used to be a teacher, thinking about ways that kids can get around too. So
Cool. Welcome. Yeah, there's a sweet spot. I realized it's like right there.
And,
We can see you.
And he or she, I'm not used to doing that, she, her, are my pronouns. I'm in Happy Valley, southeast part of.
Southeast.
And, yeah. And I'm here because I teach driver education in my Oswego. So I teach kids 15 to 17 drives. And one of our drives is actually in town. So I figured I need to learn about like what I can share with them that will help them, not pedestrians and share with streetcars, all that stuff. Because it's a little different riding in Portland than like Oswego. So that's why I'm here. And I guess I've been an engineer for about 25 years. And so in flight simulation. So I kind of got here in a roundabout way. So now I'm interested in driving. I went from flight simulations to driving simulations. And then that led me to teaching driving. So
You'll end up being a traffic engineer soon.
that would be really cool. I don't know how to do that. You know, I'd have to go back to school. Yeah, I'm still paying off my student loans, so from the first time. So we'll see. But welcome. Yeah.
No, I think you're fine here. I think you're
Hi
good.
everybody, my name is Edgar. I am a designer, graphic designer. I used to work in the federal electoral court in Mexico City as a designer. And then I moved here from the Mexico City, and I used to miss the city, you know, because it's a big city. So finally I get to move. I live here in downtown. I love it. Somebody says it's crazy, but the city to me is like my own house. And I'm interested in taking this class because I wanna design for humans, you know. I want to build for human beings. And I think the transportation is important in that. And what is the most thing interesting about me? Sometimes, but I don't have a conversation thing. I always say, hey, I'm also a tattoo artist.
Now you give me a class project.
We'll train some. Hi, my name's Stacy. I use she, her, they pronouns. I also live downtown. I love it. I walk 5 or 6 miles a day. When I first moved to Portland, I lived in Northeast, and I was in my car all the time and hated it. And since I moved to the West Side, it's been just so much fun. I just walk everywhere. And I really wanted to take this class because I'm interested in sort of the systemic issues and equity around our sort of the systemic justice issues in transportation. Now it's affected. I've turned into sort of a transportation geek. I'm on the bus and I'm like, I love the red. You know, so most interesting thing about me, I think, is that I'm the board chair of Street Roots. So if everybody knows Street Roots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone, Connor, is Ethan pronouns. I live in inner southeast, like Hawthorne, like for the Hawthorne Sound Park side. I'm interested just because I grew up in the suburbs of Vegas, and I just have like the most like isolating, sad. My parents are great, but Vegas is the worst. And I just felt like there was something missing from my childhood because I was so far from people, and I always had to have my parents find me places. And then going to college kind of opened my eyes to what like proximity to things was. And then I moved to Portland kind of on a whim because I heard the walkability and transit here was so good, and it's been wonderful for the last 8 months. And I work for the city, and I've always cared a lot about transportation access and 15-minute city and all those concepts. So and considering graduate school and planning or policy, so I thought this would be a nice way to see if that was for me. Most interesting thing about me is that I used to compete internationally in Pokemon. So I went to World Championships when I was like 12.
Nice.
We'll see if I want to get back into that.
My name is Caden Newby. He, him is fine. I live just south of Mount Tabor. And I just graduated from the Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma with a degree in economics and focusing on political science and business. I don't really know what to do with it. I have a feeling that public transportation is a place I could use all of those aspects. Main thing I'm learning is whether or not that feeling is right. And most interesting thing about me might have to be my involvement in ultimate frisbee. I play it probably 6 or 7 times a week, and yeah, if anybody wants to know about that,
Maybe there could be a field trip in that.
take the bus.
Please take the bus, yeah.
Hi, my name's Andrea. I use she, her pronouns. I live in Southeast also, like Buckman neighborhood. Why am I interested? I mean, I don't have a background in planning or transportation at all. I did my major, my undergraduate major was recreation, parks, and tourism administration. So first people help you closely, nope. So I feel like that can kind of lead into this. And then what I'm interested in learning is, I guess, kind of also like I have like a really weird like fascination with transportation and urban planning over the pandemic, and just kind of seeing if this is a career path for me also. An interesting thing about me, I guess I'm Dutch, so it's kind of in my blood, urban planning.
Spreekt u Nederlands?
No, nee.
Helaas vind ik haast.
I am also in Southeast Portland, near Southside. I am interested in taking this class to learn how to advocate for safer streets for folks. That's my main motivation. I ride my bike a lot, sometimes, don't safe places. And so learning how to advocate for myself, but also other people. I'm also interested in the community aspect of of planning and transportation. I feel really connected when I'm not driving my car, and so kind of leaning into that, figuring out what makes home sense. So wanting to learn like systems and healthy practices. And the most interesting thing about me is that in lieu of transportation, I've cut my commute to work down to 10 seconds. I work from home and I own my own graphic design business.
We have one student who's online. She's not able to join us in person. So Catherine, if you're on, could you unmute yourself and show your camera to the students and introduce yourself? I'm gonna give you a few minutes to do that, if that's okay.
This is an amazing world of technology as we're like wrapping both, like merging both worlds together, or three worlds together, like pre-pandemic, during pandemic, and where we are now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Catherine.
Hi there.
Hi, I'm afraid I'm not in a private space right now, so I'm not able to undo the picture.
No, yeah, but we can hear you.
Well, that's okay. That's probably more important, right?
Yeah, would you like to do an introduction? We'd like to meet you and hopefully meet you in person next week.
Sure. My name's Catherine Collins. I'm from the Southeast neighborhood. I've actually been an active community member in transportation now for almost 30 years. That just kind of shocks me. Everything from being one of those very first bike riders who would go on rallies where people would throw things at us and tell us to get off their goddamn streets because we were on a bicycle, if you can believe that. To, you know, working with getting safer routes to school for kids who want to bike or walk to school. I'm taking this class because as a volunteer, I've seen a lot of changes. I feel a lot of them have been really positive, but I've also seen a lot of changes that actually make me very angry. So I just want to get a better understanding of why that might be and how we as a community could maybe turn the tide on the things that are not going well for us in transportation in Portland. Most interesting thing about me, I'm sorry, I'm very fragile today. I'm been at a funeral and I'm just really quite fragile.
That's okay, Catherine.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you tuning in and we look forward to meeting you in person. Thank you. I think what I did not do was I neglected to share what's interesting thing about me. And what I've been told most of my career, most of my life is that I'm an interesting person, but I always wondered why, because it's just my life. It's just who I am. But I want to share with the group, and I'm starting to share this publicly now, and I just shared it with Judge and Ian when I first met them, is that this is sort of a dry run for me. I got invited to return back to my hometown, which is Vietnam. I was born in a coastal town in Vietnam back in the 70s, and I was a child of the Vietnam War. So I was brought here as an immigrant and a refugee. So I was born in Vietnam, refugeed in Hong Kong, came here as an immigrant, have lived in Portland all my life. So like that in itself is a story, because to me, it's just my life. I never thought of it as being interesting until like a lot of my career and everything comes in full circle. So a lot of my work in architecture is in full circle, transportation planning and engineering. But the biggest full circle now is to return back to Vietnam in December. So right after this class is over, I got invited to return back via a partnership with the University of Economics in Ho Chi Minh City and Portland State, with an MOU that was signed between the two universities to speak at a conference. And I thought I was just going to do a session like this, but they had invited me to speak as a keynote for this conference in Vietnam. And I'm like, I left Vietnam when I was 3. I was barely speaking. I'm coming back as an adult. 43 years later, I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's been kind of a journey for me as I'm prepping for this class, getting a chance to meet you And then right after class is over, I'm like overseas in Vietnam delivering a keynote speech. And so much of what I'm gonna keynote is actually gonna be this class, my career. The conference, I'll send it all to you. I'm gonna put it publicly, but they're calling for papers, so I think it's gonna be really interesting. But the conference is on resilience and technology and design, and they've asked me to speak on the technology. Oh, what is it? The title is Resilience in, I don't know what the title is. Let me look at the title, but it's on sustainability. Let me get this right because I got to make this, see, as you can tell. The conference is the first international conference, Resilience by Technology and Design. The theme is resilient design in architecture in the city. So a lot of it's urban planning. So I'm going to draw a lot from what we're doing here in the city and also what we're learning here. And I chose my title to be Reimagining Resilience in the Futures of Our Cities. So I'm just so grateful to be able to lead this class right now in this period of time in which I can share with you and prep for this keynote that I'm gonna do. So that's one interesting thing about me. I think it's more to come with everybody else. So that's where we're at in terms of introductions. Does anybody have any questions? Can we move on?
Right
Yes.
here. I must ask, Judge, your first name. So the question is for anyone on the online, is Judge my real name? I'm Junior. Senior, junior. Okay. Yes.
Judge is a great nudger.
That's right. The judge nudge.
The judge nudge, yes. I also wanted to share, I know this class in the last previous years had a Slack channel that they had put together. Is that something that we're interested in doing? Perhaps Ian, we could start a Slack channel. It's such a great way to communicate with each other during the week because we only see each other once a week.
There's actually someone in the waiting room. Let's see.
Colleen. Yeah, so we get a lot of guests in this room, this class. And normally, I don't take questions from guests until after I answer all your questions. So usually it's that. But yeah, we get a lot of people who are interested. Like this class is definitely a national, there's a national following for this class. I'm actually doing a webinar in this class a few weeks out. So if you're interested, you could listen and I could send the information. One of the things we did not do, I forgot, was the sign-ins. I'm gonna pass this around for sign-in. Attendance is very, very much encouraged, mainly because PBOT is sponsoring us. They're giving us a scholarship for each of you to be here. So we please stay. I know that everybody's lives are really difficult and just not difficult, but there's a lot of stuff, a lot of moving pieces in everyone's lives, but I want this class to be as enriching as possible for you. And I feel like there's many others who's going to be starting in this urban planning world soon. So let me go to the next one and see what I'm going to do next. Okay, so the course structure. I feel like you've gotten this information already in the syllabus, but mainly this course, the first half is presentations. I want to spend the second half of class going through some of class exercise and homework, but there'll be very rich guest speakers who come in. So the class shifts and changes per week. The first phase of the class, so I've broken this class into 3 different phases. The first phase is the history of transportation system. You'll hear more about PBOT, you'll hear more from the region, our metro region, and you'll also hear from our state agency as well. We'll also talk about our current transportation system, and then what we're going to do later in the future, planning for our future system. So that's kind of how I had broken out in the classes. You'll get speakers coming from industry, from agency, and some from community as well. The 5 main themes that I have put together for this class is equity, diversity, inclusion. There's also a huge component in making things more livable and affordable for everyone. Community engagement is always a very important component in all projects. Sustainability and resiliency is also like a big component. I want to put in climate change in there as well. And then there's the smart cities initiatives and also innovation with technology. So always moving forward in our industry. So my hope is that you also receive the education that you're hoping for this class. So we can always do better. So please let us know how we can help you. Woven throughout the course, as I said, we weave through presentations from guest speakers and myself and your project, the sustainability component, climate change, community, interdisciplinary work with integration, as much as diversity and commitment to ethics and equity. Does anybody recognize where this photo was maybe taken? Pips?
Yeah.
No, but I love Pips. I love their donuts. Seems like we have a lot of Southeast folks here. It's an up and coming neighborhood. It was once, it was annexed into the city of Portland not too long ago. It's been, it's in Southeast. I did an urban planning studio out there. The Max line runs out there. Yes. Bingo. So you see this in your syllabus. I just want to bring this up in our commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. The questions we should ask ourselves when we're working on projects is how can we equitably distribute resources so everybody has what they need and recognize historical and present disparities. That's really important as we navigate the world that we live in now, and also recognize what was in the past. Diversity. Recognize who's affected by our decisions and especially who might be disproportionately harmed by our solutions. So it's just thoughts in our minds as to when you're working on projects, what your passion project may be, and how diversity plays in that, your projects. Inclusion. How can we include disproportionately harmed people into our process early and often as possible? That's a big component in community engagement. And I know that you'll hear more about community engagement being on the forefront of a lot of project planning. And the project. So I'm assuming that most of you have received the syllabus. Is all online. You've downloaded it. I hope you've read through parts of it. There is a class project that's coming out. And yes, this is Lens because I did a big studio out there in Lens. So a lot of these pictures have come from the Lens project. So in your syllabus, I have put together week by week the homework assignments that's assigned in your research for your project. And I don't have it with me. I don't have the piece of paper with me, but this week, we're just doing introductions. But for subsequent weeks, I'd like for you to go through and identify what your project is, what kind of, what are the existing conditions, describe your transportation problem. So many students use this as a passion project. You'll hear more from Otto what hers was, and then she can help kind of fold in how to investigate and do the research for your project. So the next part is, the interim part is to do project research and documentation. So big part of that is like the development of your project. What is the visioning for what you want to work on? You would then report your issues and findings and solutions, and then also come up with some preferred solutions and barriers. And at the end is the, actually at that point, that would be midterm. So at midterm, I will select some of you to present during midterm, and our Deputy Director of PBOT, Tara Weisick, will be here that evening to to hear some of your projects and give feedback on projects. So that's one of the things I think the Slack channel would be really great, is that we could share project ideas. Ian will be available during his office hours to help you with questions. I'm always available also if you want to do a call with me virtually or a phone call. So I don't have the office hours, but I'll always make myself available throughout the week. And at the end, what we do is I bring back Aaron from PSU. I bring in our director, Chris Warner, and also Jan Hardesty, our Commissioner of Transportation, will be here to hear your projects. So they'll be here to hear, review. It's usually like the highlight. They love it because it's fun for them. They're just like on the other side, like, oh, they get to hear projects and comment on your projects. So I frame the presentation as if you're going to be presenting to City Council. So you get 3-minute max, because at City Council, some students have gone over and I'm totally okay. Yeah, there's a buzzer that goes off. We'll make sure a judge will have that buzzer to go off. There's a squeaky toy that comes with it too, I'm sure. But yeah, you know, when you are working on a project in the city and you're passionate about it and you want to make this happen, and some projects have come to fruition, which is really cool over the years. You'll hear, once you're a graduate of this class, you'll go out in the city and in the transportation world, many people have been graduates, almost like, I don't know, 600, 300. There's a lot. I was one of them, and you will be too. So the presentation is always one of the best. It's always it's a favorite of our commissioner and our director. So that is the class project. Anybody have any questions regarding the projects right now? When questions come up, we'll be here. So as a result of COVID, we did not do a field trip in 2020. And so what my former graduate assistant did was put together a scavenger hunt bingo game. And it was a kind of a fun, cool idea that we had put together because we couldn't do field trip, but I really wanted to bring this back. I brought it back last year. I want to bring it back again this year. Is that we had put together a matrix as a scavenger hunt game, and you go out through the city and then you find entities and like elements throughout the city that highlights certain things like the bike lane and cars, pedestrians, greenways. So that is in the folder. So my hope to you is that you can also participate in this. Take a photo of it. It could be a past photo from where you visited before, where you've traveled before, and then just plop it into the bingo. And at the end, for students who do a blackout bingo, we normally do like a little prize of some sort. So we're working on that, but I'd hope for you to participate because it's just fun. It's just fun. Okay, what does infrastructure mean to you? I put this in here. I think it'll be good for us to kind of think about this as we talk about transportation. So much more than just roadways, but I just want to play with words. So this was my words with friends, words with myself. But anyway, I don't play words with friends anymore, but it's just so kind of fun. But anyway, getting you back into a school setting. Many of you have not returned back to school or have been in this setting. So I speak at different places and I'm always like, I'm ready to like do solutions and stuff. But one of the things I want to bring up in this class, really highlight, is how can we retool transportation, land use, urban planning in the new evolution. So when I got the contract to teach this course 4 years ago, I renamed this course as a new evolution. This is like, and then bringing back equity, bringing back community, bringing in so many different components. So you'll hear much of that through our guest speakers and how much have changed. But what are we defining as qualities and characteristics? There's so many things up here, but I hope that your takeaway from this course is that you have your own list. So those were mine. They have been mine for a while. I have recommended readings. I have some of these books at home if you want to borrow. But the book by Jane Jacobs, The Death and Life of Great American Cities, is just a popular one. So many people, it's in the know. So if you want to be in this work or this sphere, that's one of the best books to have to read. Jane Jacobs she's an amazing writer. So that's recommended readings. Okay, so this is not an in-class exercise, and this is just one homework assignment, and it's due before next week's class. And then I'd like for you to submit it into the Google Drive. So each of you have a Google Drive with your name on it. And one of the things that I always do at the beginning of each of my class, almost all of them, if it's not transportation, it's in my urban design studio classes, is for students to go through and draw where they are in your world with your privilege. So for me, I'm a petite Asian woman who's a Buddhist, who happened to have gone to a Catholic university for engineering school. So my circle is not, my privilege is not very circular, it's not very round, it's actually very internal in here. But I want to see who's in the room. I think it really helps identify who our peers are. Mine's pretty jagged, but this kind of helps identify who we are in this space and recognize that we're all different and that we're all learning from each other. But this is an exercise that's on Google Drive. So my ask for you is to submit your homework assignment before class. I want to ask, anything that's due, please submit it Wednesday before class. So I have at least a day on Thursday to go through it. So this is not last year's privilege wheel, but a few years back. But you can see, this is an example of what it looks like. We have some pretty circular ones, but we also have some that are jagged. But it really can put us in perspective, recognize who's in the room. So that's homework. I try not to give much homework. I don't think I'm going to do as much reading as I have in the last few years. And that is really at the end of my presentation. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns? Anything I missed? Ada, anything I missed? Do you remember from last year's class? You're the only returning person.
I think we covered it.
Okay.
Don't be shy.
Please don't be shy. Yes, it's going to be fun. We'll do a Slack channel. Oh, I did miss. We're going to do a field trip. And the field trip I did last year, I brought back 2019, 2020, and 2020 and 2021 class, and we did an 82nd Avenue walk. And this year, we'll be walking again with Ashton Simpson of Oregon Walks, and we're trying to get a hold of him before he sits on his seat for Metro, because by that time he's going to be, he won't be able to represent Oregon Walks anymore. And we have planned our field trip. Remember, thank you so much. November 29th. Yes, it's a Saturday, November 29th, usually from 10 to 1. And I always start it with a meal. I usually really like, we've done a dim sum meal. We've done a Vietnamese food, really anything you like. So we could do an 80-second walk, or we could do another walk. I think Ashley mentioned a school walk. Reynolds? One of the schools. So in any event, that's the field trip. And I'll invite previous years to come as well. And we always have a good showing. It's always fun.
Yes. Oh, it's not 29th, excuse me.
I have it on my calendar. No, November 29th, yes. Oh, 19th.
I knew there was a 9.
19th. Yes. The last day of class is December 1st. I did a happy hour. We hosted a happy hour last year. And I brought back 3 of my previous years, and it was so much fun. And it was so crazy to see everyone together. And this world is so small, everybody knew each other somehow. So I would love to entertain that. And we can plan it much more in the future. One of the things that was really fun back in 2019 was that we had a group of students that did happy hour on their own and met at the pub not too far away from here. But it was just very organic, and they just did that at the end of every class. She just got together and talked transportation. It was super fun. So that's what I have for now. I would love for us to break for about 20 minutes, 10 minutes, not 20 minutes. And then we'll come back. And then Anna's gonna present on her presentation. Let's break.
Is anyone planning on leaving the building? No? Okay. Then that's good.
Is there a vending machine in the building?
That I don't know. Let's stop the recording.
Maybe not.